Your San Francisco 49ers just torched the Atlanta Falcons, and in doing so, got amazing news. I'm going to be telling you about all of the updates from yesterday's game that you're going to want to hear about, and I genuinely believe by the end of this video, you're going to be happier as a fan of the San Francisco 49ers than you're coming in right now. Hit subscribe if you're looking for daily 49ers content. I got a question for you guys, as always. Today's question, comment below. Who made you the most proud? I really thought long and hard about how I should frame the question today. On this Victory Monday, I want to frame it differently. As a father myself, I'm sure many of you are parents. How do you, who made you most proud? Because I was looking for, who was most inspiring, who surprised you. But really, coming out of it, who did you feel like, man, I love being a 49ers fan because of that guy? And for me, there are two obvious answers. Number one is Fred Warner, but he wasn't on the field, so it's a little bit of cheating. But what Fred Warner did off the field, unbelievable leadership, getting storylines across the globe as he deserves. For the guy showing up a few days after surgery, finding a way to have his wife and his little man Bo in the stands with him, watching the game, greeting the team, being on the field before the game, coming after the game in the tunnel to congratulate all the players. Everything about Fred Warner was amazing. But I want to turn my attention to another player today. I got a lot that I could choose from. There's probably 10 players I could easily choose for and who made me most proud. But I'm going to go with Tatum Bethune. We're going to talk more about his performance later in the episode for sure. And we're going to talk about several other players that could definitely be on your list, that are probably on your short list for players that made you so proud. If you were their parent, you would just be filled with pride having had them be your kid. That game was wild. That game was crazy. And Tatum Bethune came in having to completely reverse a narrative about him and about the 49ers and what they would not be capable of doing in this particular game. They're not going to be able to win without Fred. That's what everyone said. And you can understand why people say that. Fred is a pillar of this defense. It makes complete sense. Why? It makes complete sense why you would say that about Tatum Bethune and this team without Fred Warner. But unbelievable from Tatum Bethune to go in there, be the leading tackler, have a sack that gets taken away, whatever. Having a sack, I'm going to call it a sack even if it doesn't land in the stat sheet as a sack. What he did was heroic, the way he led the team. He really, in a way, did some things that we've seen out of D. Winters that he upstaged D. Winters in a way that I didn't think was even possible for your backup. So you got to give Tatum Bethune all of the credit in the world. Now, as I'm thinking about this amazing news, and I'm talking about this word inspiring, right? It's a word that was used most recently to me, most recently to the fan base by Steve Young, talking about the inspiring performance we've seen out of Mac Jones so far this season. And I want to use that same phrase. I want to use that phrase to talk about the inspiring performance we saw out of a lot of 2s and 3s. If you want to throw Curtis Robinson in there for his 9 snaps, 4s, there were some guys in there. There were some guys on this team who were stepping in there really, really fantastically inspiring football. And when you look at the offensive side, so we're going to go offense and defense, but when you look at the offensive side, highest graded 49ers per PFF against the Falcons. Sky Moore shows up number 1, which that's really interesting. He does get a few snaps because of special teams, but that was interesting. I'm not going to put too much weight on that one, but I think you know why. Luke Farrell, 90.8, his highest grade of the season. Luke Farrell. Seems that having George Kittle back and kind of everything kind of came together for Luke Farrell in the game. Jake Brendel, 83.2. Colton McKivitz, 81.6. Christian McCaffrey, 81.4. You got 2 of those guys you could just drop out of there. But what I wanted to point out that I think is pretty incredible, what's pretty incredible here is in your top 5 PFF graded players, you don't have a single player under 80. That is pretty astounding. That's very unusual. I don't see that very often. So you got to give the offense a lot of credit for what they were able to do. Colton McKivitz quietly had a very, very good game. I think I've got some stats on that as well. But let's talk about Matt Hennessy. We're talking about a second-string center who I was excited when the 49ers got him because of how well he played for the Falcons. Ironically, his PFF grades were off the chart for a lot of those Falcons games. I was excited about Matt Hennessy, even though he was a backup. And what I love about what we saw last night is not only did we not see a drop-off, which is not the exact words that Kyle Shanahan used, but in the same vein, what we saw in many ways might have even been an improvement in terms of our confidence in what we are getting out of our center play. 20 pass blocking opportunities, 0 sacks allowed, 1 pressure allowed, 0 quarterback hits allowed, a 97.5 pass block efficiency. That's nearly 100. 79.2 pass block grade and a 64.1 run block grade. Matt stepped in for Jake Brendel and did a heck of a job, and the 49ers did not change a single thing about the way they ran the ball with Matt Hennessy at the center, and it did not affect the game whatsoever. It did not make any difference on the run game having Hennessy there. That is something you've got to give some massive credit for. Yes, 100%. Jake Brendel's not the best center in the league. However, when you have two positions, we've seen this with the quarterback position too. When you have two positions where you have there's like virtually no drop off at the center position between your starting center and your second center, that definitely feels good. You don't get that a lot. And the Niners have a lot of positions where there is a big drop off. And that's part of those pillars and part of what makes this offensive performance so inspiring. You know what surprised me today? I tweeted this out. I did not even know this. This was not even close to being on my radar. And I had a thought about their third down efficiency coming in at about 60% yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. And I thought, I wonder what their season average third down efficiency is, because I can remember a lot of third downs that they converted. Compared to last year, I thought maybe it's a lot better than last year. It felt that way to me so far. When I looked up the career or the season percentages, the 49ers are second in the NFL in third down conversion rate at 47.5. And you know, like the bare minimum in my mind to be acceptable in any game for an offense run by Kyle Shanahan, the bare minimum has always been, I've always told you, it's 50%. You at the very bare minimum have to convert on half of your third downs. And you're seeing right now the league and the parity that these are the top 10 teams on that side of the screen, the top 10 teams in ranking of third down conversion rates, and the San Francisco 49ers are number 2 in the league, just shy of 50% total this whole season. With a couple bad losses in there, a couple rough games in there, you got to give the 49ers some credit for what they've been able to do with moving the ball between their QB1, their QB2, all of these weapons out without George Kittle, without a solid running game for most of the season. Like, this is pretty impressive, you guys. You got to give the 49ers some credit there. Running the football effectively is the best way to protect the quarterback. Pressures allowed, says David Lombardi. Falcons allowed 22 pressures. The 49ers only allowed in the entirety of the game 6 pressures. So, again, you put these metrics side by side, and you're like, okay, you've got the 49ers, 6 pressures. You got the Falcons gave up 22 pressures. If you look at these players, these positions, just go off like their PFF grades. They're singular grades, okay? I was looking at it when the game, they do on Sunday Night Football. You get to see the guys' PFF grades as they come up. And I'm just amazed at this offensive line, how many individual solid performers there are on that offensive line. This Atlanta Falcons team is full of individually successful players in terms of how they all rank against other people at their position. A very decent offensive line. You got to give them some credit for that. And so you give the Niners huge credit for being able to force 22 pressures on that pretty decently ranked offensive line. How about the defense? Let's talk about the inspiring nature of the defense. Highest graded 49ers on defense against the Falcons per PFF. Bryce Huff comes in at the very top. Incredible game. Chase Lucas comes in number 2. Sam Okuwanu, Tatum Bethune, and it takes you till the 5th highest player to even find a starter, and he's a guy who just came back from injury, and he's not even playing full snaps yet. So your top 5 defensive players are guys that most of the NFL, most fan bases, have never heard of these dudes. Most of these fan bases don't know who they are. Most of these guys have no clue. And you got Bryce Huff balling out, completely balling out, having an incredible game. And everyone in the 49ers fan base just keeps reminding everyone, don't forget Philadelphia Eagles fans. I almost said Phillies fans. Don't forget Eagles fans. You're still paying for most of them. Like the 49ers are paying half the bill, less than half the bill. Chase Lucas coming in absolute clutch last night, having some really big moments. I got his individual stats. I'll get to that in a minute. But for Bryce Huff, Chase Lucas, Sam Okuwanu, and Tatum Bethune, we'll pause on Malik Mustafa. If I told you in training camp that we would have a game that was what felt like to me the type of game this team needed, I won't call it a literal must-win, but it felt like a must-win in the sense that it felt like this is make or break for this team and their confidence and their ability to go forward and win games. And they lose that game, it feels like, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know if we can do this. I think doubt creeps into the minds of these young players. They don't know if they have what it takes. And for this team to go out there, and if I had told you in preseason or in training camp, the 4 highest graded players on defense for the 49ers are going to be Bryce Huff, Chase Lucas, Sam Okuwanu, and Tatum Bethune. I think there would have been a lot of surprise people out there. I'll just put it to you that way. Let's keep going. The 49ers generated 22 pressures and 2 sacks with the team. Already told you that. Here's the sack distribution or pressure distribution. Sam Okuwanu and Bryce Huff each having 5 pressures and a sack themselves. Alfred Collins with 3 pressures. Jordan Elliott, Kevin Givens, D. Winters each getting a couple themselves. Tatum Bethune, Chase Lucas, and Micah Williams having their own pressures as well. And for guys like Chase Lucas who weren't even out there for as many snaps, that is saying a lot, but obviously in some kind of a blitz package. Tatum Bethune's first game as a starter in Fred Warner's place, 56 snaps, 10 total tackles, led the team, 3 missed tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 4 stops, 1 pressure, 2 targets, 14 total yards allowed, a 79.3 overall grade, a 76 run grade, and a 67.2 coverage grade. That's very good for a guy who's stepping into this, trying to fill the shoes of Fred Warner. Deommodore Lenoir, 6 targets for 44 yards. Chase Lucas, 2 targets, 0 yards. Renardo Green, 3 targets, 17 yards. Darrell Luter Jr., 6 targets, 78 yards, and one of those was a big explosive that was at the end of the first half, and it was really frustrating because it was one of those, if you're going to play prevent defense, they don't get an explosive. That goes against the whole purpose of prevent defense. But I rest my case. They didn't get any points on that drive. Chase Lucas against the Falcons, 26 coverage snaps, 2 targets, 0 yards allowed, a pass breakup, a forced incompletion, could have been a pick, 0 touchdowns, a 77.9 coverage grade, 81.0 overall grade, a 39.6 passer rating when targeted, and 1 pressure. This inspiring performance tells you everything you need to know about what this team is made up of, what this team is capable of, and how this team can overcome the injuries. And that's going to become increasingly important, as Kyle Shanahan just shared about a half hour ago, that Bryce Huff is going to be out for several weeks. Hard to take. I didn't want to end this video on that horrible news, but that is the reality. Bryce Huff is going to be out for multiple weeks, hopefully closer to 2, I believe they said. The bottom line is this team has the character to overcome these things. It's unbelievable. I don't know how they're doing it. And hopefully we get YGM back. I know he's not an edge rusher in the same way that Bryce Huff is, but hopefully we get him back. We need another body there for sure. 49ers safeties in coverage against the Falcons. Really interesting, unusual to see all 4 of these guys in rotations. You have 1 target for 19 yards allowed on Malik Mustafa, 1 target for 4 yards allowed on Marquis Siegel, who had, I think, the lowest snap count of the 4 of them. Jair Brown had 1 target for 0 yards allowed, and Jason Pinnock had 2 targets for 17 yards allowed. If you told me at the end of that game that Malik Mustafa gave up the most yards of the safeties, I actually wouldn't have believed you. So that's interesting stats there. But we are 6 days away from the Houston Texans, who will be playing Monday Night Football tonight. So second week in a row, you're going to be playing a team coming off of a Monday Night Football game, a big emotional travel, all of that stuff going in your favor, if you will. But this time, of course, we're traveling to them next weekend, so they will get to at least stay home. Whatever the case is, the 49ers have what it takes, despite all of the odds, to have surprisingly incredible performances, and that's fantastic news. I look forward to seeing what you have to say in the comments about whose performance made you most proud. I appreciate you guys and hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your